Listen to this. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Empowered Dynasty. And I'm the boss, Q the boss. Today's topic is living with regret. Living with regret. I'm gonna go into a personal story of mine. You know, when I was younger, I used to do a lot of different things that in my adult years, I regretted the fact that I did it. But a lot of times it actually showed me it was meant and was a part of my journey. Now that I'm older, from all my experience, everything comes full circle. Everything that I've been through, I'm actually like a living testimony in a sense. So I tell people from my experience and what I've been through. So listen to the simple math, simple logic. As a kid, I used to be very, very stubborn. You know, it's just so naturally that I'm a Taurus that people say Tauruses are bulls, so I'm very stubborn. So I used to be very stubborn. You would have to tell me things multiples of times for me to actually listen. Or sometimes I had to touch the stove to see it was hot. So my regrets came from the fact that I wish I would have listened a little bit more. You know, we live in an era or a time where opinions and feelings outweigh everything else. No more experience. People don't value experience to the magnitude of what they should. People don't go to their elders and sit down and have conversations with them. People don't ask other people for what they believe should be. What I want to go on record and say this as we go into this whole topic is experience is the best teacher. There is no teacher better than experience. Again, I cannot go to a single person and ask about marriage. Yeah, they can give me their opinion, but it is not experience. I can go to a person that is married to teach me about what it is to be married because they're currently married. So sometimes be conscious of who you choose to get your information from. See, my regrets come from I did those things. I asked people who had no personal experience about certain conversations and certain experiences that they didn't have. And I would take their opinion for fact. So I was never really optimistic about learning anything new. I would go to my friend who would tell me pretty much what I wanted to hear, and I would take what they say as a fact. Simple logic. Yo, bro, I'm having problems with my girl. My friend is the most single person I can have ask for this information. They're very single. But yet and still I would go to them and ask them about what it is to be in a relationship. Or, you know, I would go to my most brokest friend who wastes the most money and ask them, how can we get rich? And then we would sit there and come up with a mentality that we would believe and it was unrealistic. You know, a lot of the things that we create is false narratives and we create false realities. And the reason why we create false realities is because the mind is easily persuaded and fooled. The more you tell the mind something, the mind will ultimately believe what it's talking about. So that's a major issue where people can't realize that your mind can be controlled by your beliefs. One believes he can achieve success instantly. Therefore, they will do everything that will ultimately push them to try to think they can get rich instantly. I just saw a post the other day about a guy who bought an NFT for $2.8 million. And the NFT actually devalued, is only worth $3,600. See, when he was told about this NFT, he probably was told that you can get rich fast and you're gonna be able to flip it and make, he asked for $48 million for the NFT, but the NFT has no value. So what I'm saying is don't regret wasting time on trying to figure out the instant way to success. See, I regret a lot of the times that I didn't listen to the real people who are actually doing significant things. I try to cut corners. And with cutting corners, you lose time. It's like having an issue at home and you negating it and then you act like it's gonna just fix itself. Things don't fix themselves unless you fix it. In reality, I regret choosing to take the easy way when I should have took the hard way. I regret making poor decisions when I had the potential to do greater things, but I wanted the easy way. So I wasted years of my life. And yet still, don't get me wrong, I've learned from the experience, but now I try to help others think greater because of the fact that of my experiences. Sometimes the greatest decision is the hardest decision that you have to make. The greatest decision in life is always the harder decisions. Everyone knows that anything of no value comes easy. And the problem with things coming easy, you don't appreciate it. And that's the problem with most people. They choose the easy way through life because this is what they're programmed to believe, that there's an easy way or you're gonna figure out the cheat code to life. Life is not, there's no cheat code to it. The only simple cheat code is learning from others' experience. See, my regrets became my greatest growth moments. I grew from all my regrets. I used to say things like, I wish I would never did this and I wish I would have never did that, but in reality, it was a part of my journey. And it took me years to accept that. Everything we do is a part of your story and your testimony. But yet and still, we want to create the story we want it to be. Again, a lot of things that we go through is meant for you to go through it. And the reason why it's meant for you to go through it is because at the end of your journey, you will ultimately appreciate the steps that you went through to get to where you want to be. Look what I said to you. As you go through your journey, as you take steps, you will ultimately, let's just look at an analogy of a building. You have a building that has 10 floors. If you literally jump from the first to the 10th floor without having to go through the stairs, would you appreciate it as much as if you went up the stairs? If you literally went up the stairs all 10 floors, you will have a different respect for an elevator. You have a different respect for an escalator. But if you only know stairs, you're gonna see how much hard work it is to get to those 10 stairs, to 10 levels. But the problem is we want to figure out how to get on the microwave mentality, instant gratification. See, I regret that I even believed that there was a such thing as instant gratification. I regret that I believed that God was just gonna bless me from doing absolutely nothing. You know, I was doing average Joe things and I thought I was gonna have great results. But then I realized my life is only determined by what I'm willing to do about it. If I don't enforce myself to believe that I have to take risks and chances to change my economical positioning, then my economical positioning will never change. But the problem is I kept believing that as long as I lay down and chill, things are gonna happen for me. But things don't happen for you just laying down doing absolutely nothing. See, regret the fact that you believe that. You know, a lot of people are wasting their time believing that things are just gonna come of value from nothing. You know, again, my biggest regret is losing time. That is your most valuable asset. You know, the most valuable asset that you have in life is your time. And a lot of my time was spent on trying to figure out the cheat code. A lot of my blemishes in life came from trying to figure out cheat codes. And, you know, they say, show me your friends and I'll tell you your future. And the issue about that is now I'm realizing my friends are starting to show me a better future because I'm making conscious decisions about being around better individuals. But initially, my regret was staying loyal to people who were only loyal to the struggles with me. Meaning they were only down for the cost of foolishness. But if the same people I would go to and tell them, let's bust a financial move and invest, these conversations would not go any further. But the moment I would tell them, let's do something negative, it was, let's do it. So I regret in a sense of not knowing how to choose friends. You know, you have to learn how to choose people that's gonna make your life easier. And when it comes to leveraging yourself to positioning, you know, we want to be in better positions, but we don't understand that your greatest enemy is oneself. You know, you are your greatest enemy. And a lot of the decisions that we make are unconsciously making us fail. And the reason why a lot of us are failing is because you don't see that is the decision making. Your decisions are everything. Again, I said, show me your friends and I tell you your future. And your future is really projected based on who you're around. You know, millionaires don't hang out with people that's trying to lay down and be average. They hang out with people that's keeping them motivated. Because along this journey called chasing success, you're gonna have multiple moments where you get discouraged. You're gonna have multiple moments where you think about quitting. You're gonna have multiple moments where things aren't going the way you want them to go. But that's a part of the journey. But don't regret the hardship. The hardship is what teaches you humility. The hardship is what teaches you how great you are. The hardship is what shows you how powerful and strong you truly are. But when we get hard moments, we get mad and then we want to complain. But that's a part of the story. How are you gonna have the ending of the story if you didn't have the beginning? You can't enjoy the greatness of a book if you didn't read that this person had to go through a lot of trial and error before they reigned victorious. If the book starts off, he was winning from day one, all through his whole life he was winning, that book would be so boring. Because every chapter would be just about his levels of success. But you see, what I would want to hear is how he built up to that level of success. But if it started off where he was successful from chapter 1 to 15, that book is very boring. Winning. That's like, okay, I hear you. But that's not really a testimony I would want to be a part of. The graveyard is the richest place on earth. It has a lot of dreams that was never fulfilled. You know, a lot of people are in the graveyard with their dreams. You know, they didn't realize that they should have taken chances on themselves. A lot of us fear rolling the dice. You know, we fear losing. And I go on record every day and say this: a loss is only a loss if you didn't learn nothing from the experience. A loss is not a loss because you lost some time. A loss is a loss when you really lost the experience. I mean, and that's reality, because the reason why I say you lose the experience is because of the fact that you will ultimately make the same poor decision you've made before because you didn't learn anything from the mistake. And that's a major issue when obtaining or chasing success. You have to realize that your decision making will factor everything. The graveyard is a place of a lot of lost potential. A lot of people who did not see that their selves were the reasoning for everything. You know, don't get me wrong, people pass away every day with unfulfilled dreams. But we don't know when is our last day. So I tell everybody to chase your dreams, chase your goals. Live your life going out with what you want to chase and go after. You know, we can't sit back every day and complain about our lives, but we don't see that you are the driver. You're the narrator. You're the author. You're the everything of your book and your story. You're everything. But we don't want to hear that because it makes us feel like if I can find an excuse, I can ultimately not put too much pressure on myself. So me relieving the pressure is saying, because I grew up with a bad father. Me relieving the pressure is by saying, because my mother wasn't in my life. Me relieving the pressure is saying, because I grew up in a bad area. Me relieving the pressure is saying, because I was born in a bad environment. That's not relieving pressure, that's making excuses. And tons of people make excuses. You don't hold yourself accountable. And a lot of people aren't holding themselves accountable. And the reason why they don't hold themselves accountable is because they become prominent and excuse ridden to the point where they believe their own excuses. And a lot of us are like that. You should regret the fact that you gave yourself all those excuses. You should regret the fact that you consistently saying that my life is never going to happen for me if I don't make better choices, but yet and still you say it's your mother. You know, I'm looking at my watch. It's time for a change. It's time for us to make better decisions. It's time for us to get more conscious. It's time for us to say, you know what? I love being around you, but you're not trying to pursue the greater self. When you're around people who are trying to pursue greater self, it becomes easier for one to become great. It is harder to become great in a room full of people who are content and complacent with their current situations. It is hard to be great because with obtaining or chasing greatness, you're going to get adamant. You're going to get anxiety. You're going to get frustrations. You're going to get depressions. You're going to get regret. You're going to get moments like, yo, should I be traveling the world or should I be really saving this money so I can invest? It's not an easy task. There is no straight run to success. Let's get that on record. There is no straight run to success. But anyone that plays the stock market, look at success like that. You have red days, you have green days. And some days, you might have red for a whole week. But at the end of the day, when that green day hit, with all that red days, you'll look back and say, I thank God I went through these red days because I'm now grateful for the green days. That's the greatest thing about becoming greater. When you start becoming greater, you'll say to yourself, like, those red days are meant to be so I can enjoy my success of my sacrifices. But that word sacrifice don't exist in a lot of people's vocab. And there's another word that a lot of people don't like, is a word called accountability. A lot of people don't want to be accountable. So regret the fact that you've chosen to be around individuals who are consistently in the same boat talking about what they're going to do for the same 10, 20, 30, 40 years. We call them still people. Still talking about what they're going to do. Standing still. Still in the same position. Still making excuses. Still not seeing that they're the problem. That's the still people. A lot of people stand still for the rest of their life because they will never point the finger at themselves. It's time for a change. It's time for a change. It's time to stop making excuses. Let's hold ourselves accountable. So regret the fact that you allowed yourself all these years to consistently play the victim. It's no more victim. I'm gonna be honest with you. You're not the victim. You're not the victim. You know, the only person that's a victim in this situation is nobody. A victim is a person who's walking down the alley and get robbed. That's a victim. A victim is a person who got shot by a stray bullet. That's a victim. If a person is playing with a gun and shoot themselves, that's not a victim. It's a conscious decision. A person decides to sleep all day rather than get up. It's not a victim. It's a conscious decision. Learn the difference between a victim and being accountable. If you choose to not do anything with your life, accept your fate. But don't point the fingers at the world and tell everybody it's your fault for my situation. So regret being who you are and start making a new you. It's time for a change. Like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, QTheBoss516. Also, follow me on Instagram at QDABOSS516. And do me a favor till next time. Don't let that go over your head.